My coworker brings her dishes into work, so we wash them in the commercial dishwasher, and if I see them, I bin them. By user Elena 247. A coworker that has consistently been lazy and tries to sabotage my workstation while the manager is working to show that someone is worse at their job than her, is routinely bringing in her dirty dishes for us to wash, thinking we wouldn't care or notice. She got in trouble for leaving half-filled mugs of coffee in the storeroom until they had curdled, so now she's dumping them for us to wash. I'm not paid to do her dishes, so I've taken to the habit of if I see them, I bin them. Surprisingly, she's not bringing in her dirty dishes anymore. Edit for some reoccurring questions. I didn't think this would blow up the way it did. Hence I spent so little time explaining it. Bin equals trash can. I'm Australian. I'm a server and we do have a dishwasher on certain days, but oftentimes if it's slow, the dishwasher won't come in and it's up to the servers to wash the dishes from service. As you can imagine, this can lead to us being torn from two places at once, hence my repeated frustration at her bringing her dishes in the morning and dumping them for a server to do instead of her quickly putting them through the dishwasher herself. But that's just who she is as a person, hence why I'm more than fine throwing away her dishes in the morning. I could write a novel on all the shit she does to screw over her coworkers. One instance when she called in sick twice with COVID in less than a month, leaving a coworker to handle a morning rush all by himself just so she could recover from a late night of drinking. We knew she had been drinking on both occasions since she also likes to use our commercial bins for her rubbish, and found that morning she had dumped 20 bottles of beer, 3 wine bottles, all in a delivery box with her name on it. Plus she was actively walking down the street in front of the restaurant where we could see her. Thanks again for being petty with me. It's good to have a few more ideas of what to do with stray dishes that pop up. Eat my lunch? I'll throw away your boxes. By user Illuminatia 42. Let me paint the picture. I'm a lab manager. I do research and also make sure the lab runs smoothly. A girl there gives me a hard time. She's rich girl at work. Friends with the CEO. Has a laser on the back of my head and snitching on my supervisor for every mistake I make. Yells at other employees. She's a cunt. I get a meal subscription because I'm a new mom and don't have time to cook. One day I was a little behind on work and decided to finish it and have a late lunch. So I go to get it, and it's nowhere to be found. I looked everywhere. Then I noticed the empty box in the trash. Someone ate it. It's a small office. It wouldn't be hard to find this person. The lady I mentioned earlier asked me, well, did it have your name on it? I said no, but it clearly wasn't a community food item. She smiled and said, whoops. Bitch. You did that on purpose. I was so angry that I had to leave early. The next day, I went into the lab and noticed a pile of boxes in the storage area of the lab. I asked someone about it. Turns out she was saving them as shipments came in because her boyfriend, poor soul, was moving in with her. One by one, I sliced up the boxes with a box cutter and put them in the recycle bin. Later during the week she was asking around about where her boxes went. When she got to me, I asked, did you have your name on them? Edit, her reaction was, wow, seriously? And she stomped off somewhere. I don't know if this is going to bite me in the ass later. She may increase her harassment of me, but I'm leaving the company in about a week so I can tolerate it. Tried to get me fired, reverse uni, by user throwaway 936292. So this is hopefully going to be short. I work an office job and we recently hired a digital strategist consultant. She was pretty useless since she arrived about 3 months ago, but she took a dislike to me for some reason. She was always lovely, but some of the girls told me she was talking shit about me at lunch a lot. Nothing major, just stirring shit. Then she said that I should send my reports to her before I send them to my actual manager. At the time I thought no problem. I sent them, then I see that she sends them to my manager 3 days later totally unchanged, really stressing how much work she had to put in to get it up to standard. 0 changes. So from then on, when I send reports to her, I BCC my manager in and say turn on compare doc when she sends it to you and see if her email makes sense. Like clockwork, 3 days later she sends another email with my report, unchanged, stressing how long it took her to correct my work. She was hired on a monthly basis and was not kept on the next month. No lipstick on this pig, by user Mandu. A recent post reminded me of this story from years ago. While I was living in Singapore, I traveled back to the US East Coast and brought 4 or 5 of our Singaporean engineers with me for a conference and some in-house meetings. While visiting, they wanted to do some shopping at a certain high-end department store. It was mid-morning, so the shop was quiet. These were all men in their 20s and 30s, dressed as you would expect typical technical types to dress. As we noisily wandered about the store, we came to the cosmetics counter. As you may know, cosmetics salespeople typically have quotas and can earn commissions and bonuses. They are often young, attractive women, and use the products they sell. As my charges approached the counter, it was clear to me that the youthful saleswoman was not interested in engaging with these foreign men. Language was not a problem as English is the primary language in Singapore. I started to approach the woman, but she shot me a look that said move on as she ignored the men. I went around the corner and found a more mature salesperson and asked her to help. She came over and engaged them in conversation. Then, each of the engineers pulled out a paper from their pockets and handed the papers to the woman. These contained lists of high-end cosmetics that their wives requested. The saleswoman only had to collect, bag, and ring up the products. No trying out products. No waffling between choices. Easiest sales of the day for well over $1,000. The younger saleswoman was clearly unhappy. Don't presume to know your customers. TL, cosmetics saleswoman misjudges potential big-dollar customers, loses out on large commission. Don't help with the group project? Fine, fail the class, don't get promoted at work, by user sans don't play. So this happened a few semesters ago. I am big history buff, always have been. Part of this history class was a group project where we had to pick a year of American history sometime during the 1800s and do a presentation on all the major events of that year. I was known in the class for being a history buff and I partially feel this led to the group dynamics that we had. I feel like my group members basically thought, oh, we got son don't play, he's going ace this for us. Well, the project started, and the group became non-responsive. All three of them. We had a discussion board we were supposed to talk in, none of them responded. We had emails, none of them responded. We had a chat group, none of them responded. After numerous attempts I went to my professor and complained. My professor said he'd send out a notice to all the students that they need to participate in the group project to get credit. So rinse and repeat, I tried again, and this time 2 people responded. One was Ashley, she made a half-assed attempt at setting up a time to figure out what year we were going cover, and another was Scott, he needed his bachelor's to get promoted and this was literally his last semester. Ashley ignored the time we set aside. Scott basically said, hey, I'm super busy, this seems pretty easy, I think it's you lead the charge, to which I said, fine, let's do XYZ year and can you find me some academic sources to use in the project? Scott responded that he's busy but he'll try. I went to the professor again, said he'd speak to each student individually. I don't know if he did, or not, but the end result was the same. Finally I went to my professor again and he said, do the project, anyone that helps from your group put their names on the project, and I'll grade accordingly. So over the course of 2 weekends I knocked out the project myself. It was a pretty fun project and I enjoyed doing it, so it wasn't all that bad. When I finished a rough draft of the project I thought I'd throw out one more lifeline. I emailed the group project to my group and IBC said my professor. In the email I said I completed the project, I need someone to clean up the citations, I need another person to do the graphics, and I need another person to proofread the project, please let me know who can do what. 2 people responded. One was another member of the group, let's call him Tom, who said I think the graphics look fine, hint, there were no graphics, which means he never opened the file. Another was Scott, who said he'd clean up the citations. None of them did anything and I figured they wouldn't. Now this class was broken down into 6 potential grading components. Therefore it was nearly impossible to pass the class without doing the final project. So I completed the project. I actually submitted a week before the deadline. 2 days before the project was due, all 3 of my group members reached out to me asking me if I had submitted the project. I said I had, it was a good project, and I'm sure it'd be graded well. They were all very happy to hear that. Professor graded the project and gave me a 95% on it, which I was quite happy with. The professor also wanted to clarify what contribution did I get from the rest of the classmates. My response? None, none of them helped. I decided to inform the group of my good grade. They were all so happy, many so confident they were guaranteed to pass the class. Well, everyone else on my group project got a 0, because they didn't help. All 3 of my group members were really pissed off. Especially Scott, because Scott needed to pass this class to get promoted at work, he needed a bachelor degree and this was one of his last credits he needed. I remember the call between Scott and I, you didn't put my name on the project. I responded, no, I sure didn't. Why not? He demanded, because you didn't help, at all. In his defense he fired back, but I was busy with work, to which I fired back, we all have lives, I also have a job, a wife, and a baby, I don't need your excuses, to which he advised me that since he failed the class, he wasn't getting promoted at work, and the promotion was really important to him. To which I said, if the promotion was important to you, you should have helped with the project, but apparently that promotion wasn't as important as you claim. Ashley and Tom were both upset, but less so. Maybe they learned a lesson from it. After, isn't that what college is about? Learning, smiley face.